Hi everyone, welcome to Full Circle Fitness, brought to you by Circle Health. My name is Will Courtney, and today we're going to be talking to Shane Lazar, a certified personal trainer and registered dietitian, whom you may have seen on this show before. Shane is bringing you a variety of different workouts, and today we're going to talk to her about how to get your workouts off the ground, and then the hardest part, making it part of your routine. We'll be right back with Shane. Hi everyone, we're back on Full Circle Fitness with Shane Lazar, a certified personal trainer and registered dietitian out of Acton. Welcome and thanks for coming.
Thank you, I'm excited to be here.
So I know you've been doing some workout shows already on Westford Cable Access.
Yeah.
I was interested to learn more about sort of how you got started in this and how you got to this point. So you can tell me.
Sure, I love telling my story. I grew up in Concord, and I was around 13 years old. I remember coming off the school bus and knowing that I wanted to go for like a run and do some sort of exercise. So I'd get off the bus, I'd change into my shorts or whatever, and I'd go for just this very little loop around my neighborhood, and then I'd come back, and then I'd do some crunches, and honestly, still to this day, try to figure out like, how did I know to do that? Why did I do that? And so I sort of got that bug early on, and then about 15, I kind of sort of took a departure from team sports, because at the time that was what you did, and you still to this day, that's a lot of what young people do for exercise is organized sports. So I'd kind of, I'd played softball and I'd basketball and soccer, and I did all that, but it just wasn't really connecting to me, and I wasn't feeling, kind of inspired to continue. So I sort of decided at about 15, I said to my dad, can we join a gym? And at the time, I'm 43, there weren't a lot of gyms around. And there was one in Concord called the Concord Fitness Center. And he's like, sure, let's go down. So we joined the gym, and I had taken dance classes in the past. So I had sort of a draw towards, choreographed, dance routines and things like that, and they had offered the aerobics class of the day. And so I started taking classes, and immediately I was attracted to the setting, the forum. The instructor was this woman that did the ice capades, so she was this like tall, statuesque, fit beauty, and I just remember being so inspired by how she was leading the class. It wasn't dance, but it was giving me a sweat, and I felt, that exertion, and that was it. I started repeatedly taking her classes. I dropped out of the team sports scene, and I got certified to teach when I was about 17, and I started teaching my first class at that gym. And then I moved on to Gold's Gym in Concord, because by then that had sort of opened up, and I taught every day from 4:30 to 5:30 adults, and I still keep in touch with some of them. And that's kind of really what started my interests and my, passion. And then as I continued to teach, it sort of evolved into me kind of exploring my own fitness, and then you know, from there I went on, I studied exercise for a couple of years, and then at college, and then I switched gears because I was, you know, mindful of nutrition, and then I went to Framingham State and I got my degree, Bachelor of Science in Nutrition, and then just kind of kept evolving with it. And all throughout I was still teaching the group classes, and you know, I just got the bug, and it's sort of been my passion, unbeknownst to me, since I was 13, and here I am.
Not everybody is that lucky to sort of discover that
No, I
young.
didn't even know.
Yeah.
You know, it was just one of those things, but before I knew it, I was like, this is me. This is what I'm meant to do.
Well, and that's, I mean, you were lucky enough to sort of have that inside of you, and part of what we were talking about is not everybody has that. Not everybody, and so many of us say, geez, I want to start, I want to get going, and I know you talk a lot about mind and body, and having to get your mind around to doing this, because you can't just wake up one day and start doing push-ups and think it's gonna last.
What I say a lot of times to my clients is exercise is a learned behavior. You know, you don't walk into a gym and you're not born knowing how to do it. You have to accept the fact that it's a process and it's a journey. And here's the tricky part. There's so much material out there coming at you. You know, this program, this gym's opening up, this studio, this, you know, mode, this is the best way. And so we have trouble sifting through what is the most effective and successful way to get fit. So there's just a lot of external noise, and you don't know what to do when you walk into a gym, how to build a routine, how to safely put together a program. And I think for me, because I grew up going to the gym and I continued to use my own body in terms of, you know, what works, what doesn't work, you know, watching over the years, it's served in my, you know, it's been a benefit to me. But for the average person, that doesn't happen. Right. They don't know when they walk into a gym, where do I begin? Or when I'm at home, what do I do? What do I buy this at-home DVD? Or there's just so much material, and not all of it is great.
So I would think having some sort of plan together is, or a plan, when you get somebody and it's your first time with that client.
Sure.
What do you talk about with that person if they're really somebody who's just getting started on a routine?
Well, what I do, and I've gotten really good at sort of assessing someone very quickly. You know, I can kind of get a sense. What I'd like to know initially is what their history is with exercise. What have they done in the past? Have they been someone that, oh, well, I used to exercise, you know, regularly, and then I had children, and then I like to know the pattern and sort of get a little into the psychology, because a lot of times what happens is they get busy with work or their children, then all of a sudden they're like, I'm 40 and I used to be so fit, and now I can't figure out how to get back and what I'm eating, and you know, it's just all those things sort of compound and make it more challenging. So I like to get a sense of the person's lifestyle, history with exercise, what some of the obstacles and challenges they face that are sort of preventing them from kind of, you know, making it routine. Because you're right, it's really hard to make it routine. There's a mental piece, and then there's a logistical piece, and then there's what the heck do I do with the time? Yeah. How do I make it work? Yeah.
That initial sort of assessment, ultimately, you must hear a lot, I don't have time. How am I going to make time for this? You don't have to work out an hour a day, right? I mean, you can really...
Well, you know, I've got to say, depending on the goal, you know, if you're coming to see me and you've got, you know, a significant amount of weight that you want to take off, or you've got the ambition of, you know, gaining strength and cardiovascular endurance, you do have to work. I mean, I could sit here and tell you that 3 days a week. I mean, I'm not going to do that. I don't do that with my clients. I practice what I preach. I work out 6 days a week and I have a rest day. You need to work out and get some kind of physical activity most days of the week. Your body is geared and designed to do that. You know, we live a very sedentary lifestyle now, but if you go back to the roots, way back when, we were very active. We had to cultivate and farm and, literally do manual labor to survive. Now we've gotten to a place where we can be very complacent and sedentary and fully function.
Right.
So yes, you do need to get some kind of physical activity every day. Does that mean it has to be 2 hours a day? No, but that bang that you put in there has to be really solid. It has to be an intense, effective use of your time. If you're just going to pedal along on a bike or an elliptical and just keep yourself sort of at this steady place with your heart rate, you're really not going to get the strength gains and endurance gains. You need to challenge, and people get a little uncomfortable with that feeling because they don't really know the modes and means in which to do so, and it's really not as complicated as it sounds. You just have to learn.
Well, it sounds like an important part is when you go into something like this is know what your goal is, right? I mean, are you looking to become the most fit person on the block? Are you looking to just have more energy?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure those things vary depending on the age and the person.
There's a lot of things that go into it. I mean, everybody wants to feel better and look better. I mean, that goes without saying. It depends upon the individual, and in large part. I mean, like I have some clients that have, injuries, so they're limited by that, and they might want to strengthen before. I have one client with a torn meniscus. She wants to strengthen her quadriceps and hamstrings before her surgery. I have some that, have 40, 30, 40, 50 pounds to lose, so it's very individual, but across the board, of course, everyone wants to feel better, look better, be healthier. That's the common theme, and that's really, the best, universal goal that we all have.
Well, and you're a dietitian, and obviously, as this has grown for you, that's such an important part. You can't, if you're going to work out, but then have McDonald's for lunch.
Huge. I actually have really, in the last year or so, I've always integrated the nutrition when I can. I've tried to emphasize it. It's hard to do an hour of training and then an hour of, they do serve their individual purpose. Sitting down with someone and working on nutrition is a time in and of itself, and and training someone is an hour of time, on its own. However, what I've been really working on with my clients is sort of integrating the accountability piece. So what I like to do is I usually present them with some kind of meal plan or something that they can follow, and then there's that check-in and required connection with me. In fact, I have some clients that I don't even physically train with exercise, but I coach them with nutrition, and then I have some that do all the exercise with me, and then they're pretty, solid with their nutrition, and then I have some that train with me and they need the nutrition. So it really is individual, but the nutrition piece is like 80% of the game. If you want to lose weight, you've got to have this clean, healthy intake so that the nutrition you're putting in your body is going to be utilized, in a way. It's like fueling a Ferrari with diesel. Like you want your engine to run efficiently, you've got to put in premium fuel. Yeah. It's a very simple concept, but it's the hardest part. It really is, because you can show up and exercise. I'll tell you what to do, we'll do it. You can go exercise on your own. The nutrition has a whole nother level. There's a psychological component, there's a learned, behaviors, and so behavior modification is huge, and I've found that it's really exciting because the text, the God forbid texts, have become a really an amazing way to stay connected. I usually have them mandatorily text me. When you hire me, you have to text me, at least twice a day. There's weigh-ins, and I've got to know how your progress is, and it's a great way to keep the nutrition and the exercise sort of intertwined.
Well, that accountability aspect, which is
huge.
Right. I mean, when we talk about making this a routine, right? I mean, you do it for a few days, and then you have a busy week, and then next thing you know, you're off the routine. So, I've noticed once you also get going, you especially with the nutrition piece, I found I was having a slice of pizza every day for lunch, and by 3 o'clock I wanted a nap.
Well, imagine if you had to text me and say, Shane, I just ate a piece of pizza.
Yeah.
That psychologically really plays a huge role. I mean, I find that knowing that there's somebody in the background kind of expecting something of you, because I don't want somebody to work with me and not see them succeed, and they don't want to let me down. We build these amazing, that's the best part of what I do, and the relationship is phenomenal, you know, and it's really gratifying to see somebody change their lives and take control. It's really the one thing in life you can take absolute control of is yourself. If you think about that, it's really powerful. And I try my best to sort of inspire and empower that very essence, because if you can connect this to this and really get control of it with everything in life, but certainly with your health, you have the ability to do it.
Right. And, you know, no one chooses to be, no one says, you know what, I don't care about health. I don't, at least most people, I hope. Right. But but so there's that guilt, and there's that kind of feeds off itself, right? I mean, that sense of, I don't want to look like this, I don't want to feel like this, but it almost becomes that defeating part, right? It
is. It's a sabotage. It's like a self-sabotage, and you know, before you know it, your inner voice is sort of telling you these, I can't, you know, how am I going to, and you get overwhelmed. Well, sometimes you just need someone to say, this is how we begin, and let me guide you. And it may be a long-term relationship, training with your client, or it may be something where you just need, you know, to jumpstart and get a couple months into it, and then you really adapt to the routine yourself. You know, there's just, again, it's very individual. That's the beauty of it. But it doesn't matter if you're 14 or if you're 70. That's the range of my clients. Everybody in there, you know, is sort of on the same mission, more or less.
And once you build up that momentum, you're gonna not want to give it up. Well, right.
It becomes a habit. That's what you want. You want it to become a habit.
And we are creatures of habit.
We are. It's just one more thing. I always say, I have no other vices, but I'm addicted to exercise. It's like probably the best addiction you can have. Right. But it's in a healthy way. You know, it's not an extreme. It's just, for me, I've used it as such a coping strategy throughout my life, and I really try to impart that upon my clients, and especially the young girls that I train, is that you can use this as a way to cope, that you don't even realize the benefits. They come into the session and it's like, ugh, and they leave in this completely different mind space, and it's powerful. It really is powerful.
Well, we're going to show a couple of the things that you might teach somebody on their first visit with you, and find out what a burpee is, and
we'll do some basic exercises,
some basic stuff, and just kind of show people, give them a sense of, if you come and see Shane and you become her client, this is some of the stuff she's going to show you.
You're going to be
I'm going to be the guinea pig, and you're going to show me what bad form I have, and we're starting my routine right here. So we'll be right back, and we're going to try that. So. Okay, we're back here with Shane. She's going to show me a few things about getting started, and what somebody might go through on our first visit with her. But you do interval training, right? That's your sort of style?
I like to do interval and circuit training. So when I get a client, usually after an initial warm-up of some kind, I will put together a circuit of about 3 exercises, and they will rotate through the circuit a few times. And the circuits vary in their intensity, and pace is always pretty consistent. I try to push them through it, but that's where, like I said, you can modify based on your fitness level, how fast you go through, or
how many exercises would be in one interval?
It's usually 3.
3, and then
3 times through.
3 times through, okay.
And some of them are timed, some of them are 10 to 12, some of them are 10 to 15 reps. It just depends on the exercise, and it's very much a variety. I have a lot in my tool belt at 43, and having started at, 17, 15. So over the years, thankfully, I've got a lot of material up here, and so I can keep it fresh and different.
The goal is ultimately the cardio aspect, right? You want to keep them moving for that hour.
The goal is strength and cardio. You want to have your heart rate elevated, so you're feeling the intensity, the burn, and then you want to incorporate muscle and strength training. They're both equally important. Cardiovascular and strength training are like peanut butter and jelly. You have to have both in your routine, and I like to couple them up with my programming, some circuit exercises are more geared towards cardio, some will have a strength component, some will combine both. And that's kind of how they run.
All right. So you're going to show me a couple of the moves. We're going to do a little bit of a circuit.
You're dressed perfectly for it.
Sweat right through my shirt. So show me a couple of moves here.
All right, so let's put together a real basic circuit. You're going to do a burpee, and then you're going to do a squat with an overhead press, and then you're going to do some lunges, let's just say. This is just an example. This isn't what I do necessarily. It depends on whether you have knee problems or where you're at with your fitness level, but we're just going to throw some basic ones for everybody watching.
People don't know what a burpee is.
And yes, so a burpee is basically just a plank movement going through to an upward position. So starting out in a plank is, hands and shoulders over wrists. You want your shoulders over your wrists. Your feet are usually generally about shoulder width apart. Sometimes you can add a push-up. I'll be fancy and add one. You don't have to if you want. And then you kind of jump your feet in, and then you jump up.
So you want to get straight up.
Yes, you want to go all the way up and then jump.
Hands up.
So go ahead. I'm going to watch you, Will.
Okay.
I did mine today. So remember when you're in a plank, right? You want your back flat, because that's what a plank is, isn't it? It's like a board.
Right. So
perfect. So you got your shoulders over your wrist.
Okay.
You're in a nice flat form position with your plank. So now jump your feet in, and then jump up. Okay.
And then back down.
Go ahead. Do it again.
I'll do a push-up too.
So you can see if you did like 10 of these in a row or 30 seconds, right? You'd start to get tired. Now I would like to add that if I had somebody that couldn't jump through, a lot of clients, prefer not to jump or they can't, you can always modify, step in and step up. So you can't be afraid just because I can't jump, or there's always a way. There's always a way to modify for the client.
So that's going to help legs, core.
Yes, lots of core and heart rate, and push up if you add it, puts the chest and shoulder a little bit. Yeah, so it's a combo move for sure. Okay. And the squat. The squat,
right.
So a squat position is one of the trickier ones to master. Everybody knows what a squat is, but few people do it properly. A squat, I'll put these down actually. You want your legs shoulder width apart, your feet facing front. When you lower your body, you want to sort of visualize yourself sitting on a chair so that your trajectory is backwards, and a lot of the time the mistake is that the knees fall over the feet, and that puts a lot of pressure on the knees.
Where do you want to feel it in your
you're
backside?
Doing quads, hamstrings, glutes. It's really all of the leg muscles. Okay. So what you just did is wrong.
Okay, I figured. I knew that was gonna happen.
So what you want to do is jet your behind back and sit like as if you're sitting on a chair, and you kind of use your arms. You get a little stability going, and your knees are sort of in line with your feet, and then you elevate up. So up, and then drop down, and you're about parallel. This is where it varies depending on the ability of the person. So
but if you should feel it a little bit in your hamstrings.
Yes, you want to feel glutes, hamstrings, quads. You're lowering your body down with your leg muscles and squeezing up as you come up. So you lower. So I'm going to add for you hand weights. Those are yes. So what we're gonna do is stack muscle groups. I like to do that a lot too. So we're gonna add upper body through the squat movement. So actually, let's start with them up here. We'll just do shoulder press. Turn them this way. So you're gonna squat, like I said. Now stick backwards. Now make sure that you're there you go. If you were to fall, you'd go that way.
Yep.
So pick yourself up and then shoulder press, and then drop down, and then press, and again. Down.
And how far down you both?
You want to go, see now you're
leaning forward.
A little forward there, Will. You want to think of yourself squatting over a chair like as if you're going to sit. That's a little better. Tuck your arms in a little bit. Tuck your arms in a little. And think shoulder press now. Stand up and press.
Okay, I felt that. You can feel it right through your core when you do that.
Yes. Focus on your form. Think. This is the mind part. You got to tell your brain what part of your body you want to move. So squat down. And then press up. Close it in. There you go. That's better.
Hey, I'm doing it.
That's better. Now press up. There you go. So now the other piece of that is you can intensify the exercise with the amount of weight you lift, right? Fives, believe it or not, will fatigue you.
Yeah. I'm fatigued.
And you are, right? And also the depth with which the squat goes. If you've got some knee problems, and some people I like to actually have them sit on a chair and then get up.
Okay.
If they have limitations. They don't have to give it up altogether. They can actually sit down fully and then stand up. So
Well, it kind of gets that form as opposed to wanting to cheat.
It does.
Right?
So I do that with a beginner a lot, often. Okay, so then the next one is a lunge. This one's also tricky with the knee positioning because you don't want your knee to jet over your foot, right? If you start to do that and you push your knee this way, that's all your body weight going on your kneecap. So the goal with a lunge is to step and drop. That's not bad.
Fell right on top.
Yeah, or drop down onto the floor and fall. So step and drop. That's good. So it's basically, and then you can alternate step, drop.
And how many of these would you do?
I would probably either go with an interval time or I do 10 to 15.
Okay.
So make sure that your step is big enough so that you're not jetting over. So see, mine's a little wider than yours because I'm trying to get deep into my quad and hamstring and glute. That was better. Keep your shoulders back. No slouching. No slouching, Will.
So these are for you to say.
No slouching. That's not bad at all.
Right.
There you go. Start to feel that, right? And
Yeah.
you do feel when you pull back from a lunge. I mean, there's lots of different things you can do with a lunge. You can travel. Goodbye, I'll be off TV. Or you can step backwards. There's just so many variations. That's what's fun.
So you're going to take somebody through all three of those things and three times through
10 to 15 times, and then on to another circuit. And for 1 solid hour, we are doing circuit training.
And you're not stopping. You're going to keep moving.
No, they
like
don't.
You say momentum, right?
That's it. You got to keep going. You got to keep the intensity up. You got to burn the calories. You got to eat clean. Burn more calories than you eat, you lose weight.
So somebody comes to see you for an hour. You literally, that hour starts, you're starting the exercise, and then some of the counseling goes on.
We chit chat throughout, and they complain and love, hate me. But they all really love me. Except it's like a torture session for about an hour, and then when they're done, they feel like $1 million.
And how would they see you? Once a week? Do they see you?
It varies. I have a young woman who's 22, home from college, seeing me 6 days right now, and then I have somebody that sees me once. So it varies. I try to. It's a minimum of once. I mean, it depends on, there's a lot of things that go into it, but the goal is for them to see me, start to learn how to train, and if they need to see me for the, infinite future, fine. If they want to see me for a while and then, are ready to transition and do it on their own, that's also.
But that's the idea. If they see you once or twice a week, you want them doing this 4 or 5 times a week.
That's the hard part. I'm like, what did you do without me? It's like, I just jumped on the treadmill for 45 minutes. And, it's a little easier when somebody's pushing you. I'll admit, obviously, right? But.
Well, we're almost out of time, but I did want to just ask if somebody was interested in learning more about you or what you do. You're working out of a gym in Acton,
I have a gym. I have a little place that I use in Acton, and they can always find me on Facebook, Empower Yourself Fitness by Shane, through here, the Westford Cat. And just Google me. I'm out there. My website should be up soon. I'm working on that and a logo. I'm like a late bloomer.
And watch her on Full
And
Circle
watch
Fitness,
me! Oh my
right?
gosh, yes. I'll be bringing some teachers on. I'd much rather have people with me.
I'm sure you're getting great ratings here on Westford Cat. You do it.
Thank you. It's fun.
Thank you so much for joining us. This was great.
Yes.
You've got my routine started.
That's it. You're
and
ready.
We'll do it again.
Sure. Sounds
All
great.
right. Thank you.
Thanks.